Hey everybody, so today we're going to take a brisket and I'm going to show you from start to finish how I cook it overnight and still get a full night's sleep. Start out, this is the bottom side, the meat side of the brisket. We're just going to do a little bit of trimming, get it cleaned up, get a little bit of the silver skin off and get it taken care of. Then we're going to trim up the fat side. Let's talk about our fat cap. So you're going to hear people say different things. I like to leave about a 1/4 inch of fat on my fat cap. This hard stuff, we're going to get it out. But over the top layer, we're just going to leave about a 1/4 inch of fat. Let that render down throughout the cook. So this is only the second time I've ever done this recipe like this. I did one time as a test run and it came out pretty good. So we're gonna go round 2 and we're gonna film it this time and see if we get the same results. So we just about got this fat cap all trimmed up the way I like it. Everybody likes it a little different. Some people leave more fat than this, some would leave less. Particularly, I usually like to leave more, but this brisket, like I said, it is a choice. It's honestly a little different than a lot of the briskets I'm used to buying. I'm not gonna lie, I got it on sale. And when you're paying $2.80 a pound for brisket, we can deal with a brisket. That's not the prettiest pig in the barn, if you know what I mean. So we're gonna make do with it. And now that we've got the fat about where I want it, we're gonna start talking about shape. So if you've ever watched any of my brisket videos, you know I always say I don't care about what it looks like, I care about what it tastes like. And that rings true on just about anything, but with brisket, you do want to try to get a rounded form shape just to help it be more uniform and cook more evenly. So I'm gonna kind of just come right here and I'm just gonna start cutting and try to make it as even as I can. So as you see, our brisket here is pretty uniform. Got some nice smooth edges. Might see a few more little spots we may trim up. Just try to keep it clean, but ultimately, this is gonna be a set it and forget it kind of brisket, but it's still gonna taste really good. That's all that matters at the end of the day. Let's get ready to get our binder on and get it seasoned up. So you already know we're hitting a heavy dose of that mustard binder. I'm doing meat side first because we're gonna cook with the fat cap up. After that, we're hitting a heavy dose of my SPG. Then I'm just gonna throw in some extra coarse grain black pepper to help set our bark. I'll flip this thing over and repeat on the fat cap side. So I'm gonna let this seasoning sweat in for about 30-45 minutes or so. So we're gonna cook this on the smoker at 200 degrees for 12 hours untouched. We'll put this on at 10 o'clock and I'll see y'all back at 10 o'clock in the morning. This is going on the Pit Ball Sportsman 1600 pellet grill, 12 hours. If you're looking, you ain't cooking, we ain't taking a peek. I'll see y'all when the sun's up. So now we got our brisket all trimmed up. If you were wondering about what to do with the trimmings, I'll tell you one thing I like to do. You can discard them, you can cook them and make tallow, but for me, this time of year, we're coming up on deer season. I like to make venison sausage, whether it be summer sausage, breakfast sausage, bratwurst, and stuff like that requires additional fat. So I will vacuum seal this and freeze it and save this for deer season when I'm making my venison sausages. I will grind this up with the venison to have some added fat. So I got my brisket on at 200 degrees. Like I said, we're gonna cook this 12 hours without looking. That's not saying sleep all night, 12 hours, don't come check on it. It is still a grill, and you don't want to catch your house on fire. Make sure your pellets are topped up, catch your little nap. We'll see y'all at 10 a.m. All right, so it's 10 o'clock. Our brisket's been on for 12 hours. I'm not even gonna lie, thanks to melatonin and blackout curtains, y'all might want to sponsor me here because I got the best night's sleep I've had in a while. The brisket's cooked. I did get up to check on it a couple times, but we slept good. We're cooking brisket. Let's go out there and see how our bark looks and how we're looking on temperature. So we're hitting about 145 in the point, about 160 in the flat. Our bark's looking a little dry, so I'm gonna spray it with some beef broth. Crank this pit boss up to 250. Let it cook for about another hour. We'll come out and check on it. Just give it a good spray all over. Get that bark moisturized. I'm gonna let her cook for another hour. Come back and check on it again in about an hour. So just after one more hour, you can see that bark's already starting looking a whole lot better. I'm gonna give it one more good spray. I'm gonna let it go one more hour. I am gonna move it to the bottom rack to help it get a little closer to the heat source as it cooks. So after another hour on the smoker, our bark's starting to look better. I'm gonna bring it in and give it a wrap. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you, this brisket is smelling some kind of good. So we're hitting about 160 here in our point. So I'm gonna brush my paper down here with a little bit of this Wagyu beef tallow. My friends over at Bear & Burton's. Now I'm wrapping here today with double layered butcher paper. You really want that second layer in there to help seal everything in. But the butcher paper is not going to steam as bad as aluminum foil will. So when doing something like this, I'm always going to go with butcher paper. My brisket right there on top of that tallow. Then I'm just going to pour some more across the top. It's going to help us keep some moisture in there. And it's also just going to help hold everything together. So we'll kind of brush this around here. Make sure we get everything good and coated. And we're gonna wrap our brisket up. Now we got our brisket all nice and wrapped up. Going back on the pit boss, still at 250. We're gonna cook this thing up until it's probing just like butter. Now we're just gonna let it roll till it's hit about 200 degrees internal and that probe sliding in and out like butter. So we've hit about 201. Let's check it out. No resistance. Let's get down here. In and out like butter. We're gonna bring this brisket in, go ahead and give it a rest. So I placed my brisket here in my meat resting cooler. We're just gonna go ahead, seal this old cooler up here. We'll let this brisket rest for at least an hour. That's the minimum. So the trick to getting a good juicy brisket is in the rest. Yes, it has to do with the cook, but you can't underestimate the importance of the rest. So in that rest, all those juices are reconstituting back into that brisket. If we pulled it out and sliced it right now, yes, it'd be tender, but all those juices are gonna pour right out. In the rest, it's gonna reconstitute and yield a better product. So I always say from 1 to 5 hours rested in a cooler, but in my experience, the absolute optimal resting time is 4 hours. If you can give that brisket a 4-hour rest, it's gonna give you the best chance at having the best product. I wouldn't do anything less than an hour. Try not to do anything over 5. Really, if you're going over 5, you need a hot hold in a warming oven versus just resting in a cooler. So we're gonna let this rest. Today I'm gonna rest 2 hours because that's what I've got time for. I'm ready to eat dinner. I'll see you in a couple hours. Let's see if that old brisket's got some jiggle to it. I think we've got a winner. Let's go ahead and split our muscle. See how juicy this old brisket is. Let's take a look at that. So I'm gonna start breaking down my brisket. Of course, right here we got our burn ends. Those, just like that, ready to toss off in some sauce. Do whatever you want with them. I'm gonna start slicing here on my flat. See, we got our bend test. See if it's tender. This is our piece here, off of our flat. Got a little bit of that fat cap. It's going for that bite here. A few more burn ends here. And we'll start slicing up. See, you can separate this muscle under here, but I like the big, thick, juicy slices. So I've got my brisket all cut up. It's tender. It's definitely juicy. And it's still gonna eat and be delicious. So I've got my burn ends. I've got my flat, my point. We're just ready to have dinner. I know I've already went in for that bite twice, but I've been over snacking this whole time. I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you. I appreciate y'all watching. Let's go on for that bite. So brisket right here. Now that's where it's at.